Just cry. Just cry.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. It is 6:31. It is October 14th. I hope everyone is feeling well. We have a little bit of volatility back in the market, which is good. Not every market's going to be a bleed up, hold positions, massage them, add to them, look for more. You got to have some big boy markets where you get a little volatility, you get a little misdirection. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass. It is what it is. We were sitting here yesterday, 24 hours ago. I'm like, let's see what kind of rally we have. We took back 50% in the Spies and the Qs, and we stopped right into this spot. Anyway, before we get into that, my name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com, founder of Red Dog Mindset. Feeling good. Did my 20 and 520, had a few hundred Wall Street veterans join me for a workout in the morning in my sauna. We do 20 minutes of mobility. We sweat. Think about the day, think about levels, think about multiple plans so we could execute with confidence when the levels show themselves, when the action presents themselves. Anyway, with that being said, if you look at the chart of the Spies, we talked about 663 to 665, went right to 664, 61. Said you could do two things. One, you could sell some premium, which is what I did, the 665 SPY calls, sell them naked, a way to put on some hedges, or go out to Friday and buy the 652.84s. Some people did both. All I did is sell some premium. And I was just telling, the alpha team, which they see, if I came in with just say a bunch of options, 15 of them, long, because that's what I took because I risk was premium paid besides the SPYs, which I don't have. I came along the SPYs yesterday, so that was a good trade. I probably hit the sell button 18 out of 20 times. So I've reduced a bunch of the equity premium in the options. I sold some calls and just trying to make some strong decisions at the right time. So right now the SPYs are down 7. Hard to see that coming the same way it was hard to see them go up 9. So the question is, or the thought is, obviously we're well below 659.77. So do we hold 652.84? 652.84 is the low from Friday, right around the 50-day. Hey, everyone wanted a chance at the 50-day because they got it Friday night. If you didn't take it Friday night, who knows? Maybe you get your day today. Some people are like, well, why did this happen? There's some news that China put some restrictions on some things in South Korea. I just think that it's just a continuation of the volatility for now, and we'll see how it goes. With that being said, you have 652.84. We're a little bit above it, so that's your level. Do we hold it? Just simplify it. Do we hold it or not today? Do we stay below 659.77 or not today? Does anything show strength that could be bought in the first 5, 15, 30 minutes versus the low for cash flow or not? So that's the SPYs. The Qs are very similar. Right inside candle, right in between the moving averages, kind of cute. And it's below 597. So the question is, does it hold 589.05 or push through it to see the 50-day? What are the Qs doing? The Qs right now are at 593, which is still 4 points above. Will it get there? Maybe. At this point, we're going to have to check it out and we're going to have to see. Yes, Bitcoin was shaken up last week and getting a little beat up today. I do have some IBIT calls. I'm not in IBT itself. IBT calls where risk is premium paid for November. There's still a lot of time. This is, it's only October 14th. Got a whole month of, this kind of volatility could last for, a week or a few weeks. You never know. But if you get in the right position where you reduce risk, when you break the 8 and 21 day and get more tactical, you don't care how long it takes. You just make the right decision at the right time with your mind right so you can execute with confidence. So anyway, here's 650. This is 656. This is 593. And yesterday, the IW1 was a little stronger. Okay. So you'll see, does, the IWM hold 241.40 or not? Yesterday, some of the, the grid names, the minor names, some of those were a lot stronger than, Mag 7. Like, I don't own one Mag 7 name now. Mag 7 is not where the leadership is. Mag 7 is not where the strength is. They are all in rebuild mode. They didn't lead us to highs 2 months ago. And now actually it'll give us some clues how weak we are. So anyway, first of all, this is 241.40. Where's the IWM right now? The IWM is down 3, so it's right there. So it's kind of interesting. The IWM is not below yesterday's low, and the Spies and the Qs are well below yesterday's low. So we'll see what that means. You do have, the Fed chairman's at 1220, and you have JP Morgan, which is, I don't think, you're not going to do much. You can't hear me? Can anyone hear me? Let's see. Can anyone hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Hello. How are we doing here? It is 6:36, October 14th. Jim Nelson, can you hear me? Kenneth Rosenberg, the specialist, he can hear me. So then I'm sure just turn your shit up. Excuse my French. Anyway, so with that being said, so the IWM is still above 241.40. Does that continue? And we'll see, does the Spies or the Qs reclaim yesterday's pivot or stay below to keep pressure on to see Friday's low? Those are the quick thoughts. Not much. Listen, nothing really rallied well yesterday. Everything rallied right to a point where it should have been rejected. Like, look at Amazon. Amazon's been horrible. Amazon went right to 221. Okay, so that's what we said. I'm like, can it rally back to 221 or get through it and show any power? It didn't. So I think Amazon's important today, not because of where it could rally to, but will it give us some clues on the weakness of the market? Like, if Amazon's allowed to break 216 and stays below it, that's the first time one of these will have broken a monthly low in a while to get to the 200 days. So I'm not playing Amazon. I'm going to watch it. But if Amazon starts breaking below 262, 216, and it stays below it, that's probably going to give you some clues that this market, is not going to be, in such a rush to repair itself. Some people might short it there. I'm not going to short it there, but I'm going to definitely have an eye on it. 216.72. If you want to short it there, that's cool. Some people actually got short into the moving averages yesterday. But anyway, so I think that's a big thought. It could get below and reclaim it and fake everybody out. But I'm just saying, you want to measure the temperature of the market. You measure it with some key names. And Amazon's been really weak ever since breaking this inside wedge to the downside and then got rejected into where that was on the retest. Now, does it break that? That's just a question you got to think about. Okay. Anyway, that's Amazon. Some of the other ones also, Apple wasn't great yesterday. Apple didn't even get back towards 253. 255 is where most of us all got stopped out. Whenever you were thinking it was going to break to the upside there for a move through 260, well, that changed. Why did that change? Well, look closely. I say you get stopped out when a trade changes. Well, it was above the 8. They're looking like maybe you can get above 259, and that changed last Thursday. Were you thinking clearly? Was your mind right? Did you execute? If not, you better change your morning routine, my dog is. Anyway, this was your get out. And if you didn't, here was your retest get out. And then yesterday was a very feeble rally, to be honest. Thank God I had some calls and I sold some. But anyway, now same thing here. Does Apple get below the low from Friday before everything else? That's 244, right? Where's Apple right now? Apple's at 245, so it's not quite there. So if Apple breaks and stays below 244 to get down towards 241, tech is weak. If it doesn't, hey, maybe today's a choppier day. But anyway, so I think out of mega cap tech, these two are going to be interesting to see how that goes. Google was stronger yesterday, so maybe Google is something that's either you could buy to go from red to green or not. What's Google doing this morning? Google is. It's only down 3. So this is definitely stronger than the other ones. And you know what? Tesla was a little stronger also than the other ones. Tesla got through the moving averages. I thought maybe it would get rejected at 425. Everyone's like, Red Dog, you taking Tesla? It's ready to go. I'm like, I'm not taking anything because the market was up yesterday. Anything different. I didn't buy it on Friday. I didn't day trade it. I'm not just buying it on the close for maybe it to be up 3-4 points. So I'm getting a little bit smarter in my older age. But anyway, Tesla's down 13. Okay, so what's the level here for Tesla? What's this low? This low is 419. So does Tesla hold 419? I'm going to look at this. I didn't trade Tesla at all yesterday. I was too busy trimming some options, playing some other names that were acting well, and I just I lost sight of it. I haven't really been that involved ever since I bought a ton of it here, and we had a really nice active sequence into the deliveries, which was sold. But yesterday, Tesla showed a little bit of relative strength, so this would be something to look at. Okay, and right now Tesla is, it's at 422 down 13. Here's 419, so we'll see. Does it want to rebuild in here, or will it break that? If it breaks that, things are going to get very loose and wide. Yeah, Kenny, a lot of things could happen. ICANN says he's got TLT calls. TLTs is definitely acting better. I get it. So you want to look at TLTs. It hasn't been a market leader. I meaning like, telling you usually when the TLTs were going up, that means rates were going down and the market liked it. As of right now, it's becoming more of a safety vehicle. So if you're in the TLTs for that reason, okay, it's below the it's above the moving averages, which is good for investors. So now we'll see if it stays above and continues. You would think the TLTs would kind of help. That means rates are going lower, but maybe it's going lower for the wrong reasons. But anyway, yeah, some of the crazy names, not the crazy names, but the names that are kind of high growth or super growth are doing well. So everyone's like, well, what do you have on? So far it doesn't show my options. All I have on is these two little names. If you looked at my virtual trading floor or the alpha team, literally, 2-3 weeks ago, I had 14 names on and 20 options. Now I have like, 2 little names on and 10 options and hedges. So I'm adjusting. You have to adjust with the market. If you trade actively for a living and you can get paid in October, you have to adjust. So anyway, we'll see what happens today. I don't have any Tesla on. Like I have a Tesla on when it's above the 820 one day, and it's looking great. But anyway, why do I have this little one on? I thought it was looking, it's still only down small. So we'll see what happens today. If I could add to it, hold on, BBAI. It's a nice chart. I've also been in it for a while. Look at this inside range. It went to the highs yesterday. So this is something that might be able to go from red to green and continue to build. This is BBAI. That looks pretty good. QS, which is a hard, which is the battery maker, hard battery technology, which is much better than right now. Everybody wants a car that you could, use gas and EV, and the hard batteries, help with that. And look at the nice strength here in QS yesterday above the 8-day. So that is why I'm in these two, not because they're memey, because they're acting well, so I'm in the two of them for now. NVTS, yes, had big news. I'm not in NVTS, and this also is up. This looked really strong yesterday. Some guys are in it since this gap here. So if you're in it, congratulations. Anyway, JP Morgan, okay, just came out with numbers. I'm not playing it. JP Morgan to me is very noisy on earnings. So I guess see if it holds up, it's up 355. That should be helping the SPYs a little bit. So if JP Morgan wants to help, what's the levels in JP Morgan? Somebody asked me. Well, you have 310.47. That was the high. And then you have 317. Right now, JP Morgan is 311.93. So does JP Morgan hold 310-ish? If it does, hey, maybe there's more room, but I'd be careful buying JP Morgan. It's very erratic on certain days. US 10 years about to fall under 4%. That's good. The government needs that, Jimmy. So do home buyers. IBIT made a low yesterday and is lower today. I'm not in IBT. I have calls on, thinking that we would get some kind of November Thanksgiving rally, and I still think it could happen. But that's why I'm in calls. Risk is premium paid, and I'm really far out. So they've already taken the money away from me pretty much. I was buying the 67 calls for IBIT in here, and I sold them all. And then into this down move, I bought the 74s for not too much, and it is what it is. For now, though, this low area is 60. This is really important. If IBIT does not hold this 60, 61 area, you have the 200-day down at 58, and that means, some risk assets are coming in. With interest rates coming down, Fannie and Freddie, open, So everyone always wants open to rally. Open broke. Open, I remember I was playing it on this day. Then all of a sudden I saw some huge sellers coming. I got out of the way. Doesn't look special to me. It had its move. It looked good and faltered. So you should have been stopped out of this open right there when it broke the 8-day there. Anyway, so with that being said, listen, volatility happens. Sometimes it's better. A lot of people like to day trade and not just sit in positions. If you can get in more control, and sometimes the market's better to day trade. Testing levels, like I said, if you break the 8-day, you get to test the 50-day. If you break the 50-day, you get to test 100, 200. TEM, I have options on. It's probably not going to work. Tried to hold the 8-day yesterday. So again, I had shares on here, and I bought some more through there, and I sold some, and then this was a spot to adjust. And then when the volatility hit, I got rid of my shares because risk is unlimited, and I stayed with my options. If the options don't work, it is what it is. At some point, the market will rebuild, and then it'll go again. I do have options on, and it wasn't great yesterday. So it happens, Golden Sunlight. I guess see if 88 holds. 88 should hold. If it doesn't hold, then it's going to need more time to rebuild like the rest of the market. Meta's been horrendous, actually. Meta's another interesting one. Meta's already below 704. Didn't even get back above the 8-day. And now look at Meta, it's at 700. So this to me is kind of like the Amazon. Okay, take this out of the way. If Meta, if Amazon looks like it's breaking 216 right now, the shorts are coming after it. If Amazon breaks 216 and makes a lower low, you're going to know how weak this tape is, and chances are we can go lower. If Meta doesn't hold 690, which is 10 points below, and gets below that spot, chances are you better be careful buying things. Palantir wasn't great yesterday. Didn't even get back above 179, rejected. So this channel was looking good, and it broke below. Most of my guys got stopped out on Friday. Not much of a rally. Sometimes, Palantir comes roaring back and squeezes a short, and sometimes it gets sold into strength, and that's what happened right here at 179. So if this was, it's another clue. Use this. If Palantir breaks 170, it's going to tell you that things could go lower, and the risk appetite's not great today. So there's a bunch of things to look at and think about. That's what I do. When I'm doing my 20 at 520 in the sauna and getting my mind right, I'm not just sweating it out. I'm not just doing a superset with my dogs from around the world. I'm thinking about the day. I'm thinking about how to adjust. I'm thinking about the keys to the day. Like I said before, if this, then that. First thought is, does the Spies stay below 659? If it does, there's a chance it could see Friday's low. That's one thought. What's going to give us clues for that thought to happen? If Amazon breaks 216, if Meta doesn't hold 690, if Apple doesn't hold that low, it's going to give us some clues that that's the case. And chances are it's going to affect the Qs even more, where the Qs the Qs didn't even get to the 50 days. So that means the Qs stay below 597. Then you have 589 and 584. So it's a lot of different little things. I don't care about a 50 basis point rate cut right now. I care about today. I care about the action. I care about my dogs. I care about my community. And thank goodness we're pretty damn tactical. You could be in a few things, but I'm sure you're in a lot less than we were, last week. You had to be. If you didn't adjust from last week and you're sitting there holding your breath and going underwater, I hope the market comes back. No, there's no hoping and praying and trading. You have to have control. You have to have levels. You have to have multiple plans, and you have to have your mind right to execute. Anyway, it's 6:50. I have 40 charts I need to do for the Alpha team. I got to get situated myself. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you feel like you're not executing, if you feel like you can't control what you can control and you're all stressed out, well, make some changes to your routine. Get up earlier, get your mind right, do some better prep. Start, taking accountability for levels and execution on those levels, because there's a lot of people making a ton of money out there, not using leverage and actually making the right decisions and not, falling for whatever the traps of the market are. But I guess, when you're doing this 30 years, you can see things a little bit more clear. Anyway, we'll see what happens today. You have your plan. There are multiple plans, and we'll see the way it goes. And again, good luck to you guys. I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in.